The news of dangerous infections and diseases on the planet is more rampant than ever, and it is presumed that a great calamity would soon befall mankind. Inevitably, there's an outbreak of a deadly virus that turns humans into zombies, and as a result, Jerry Lane, a former soldier for the United Nations, finds himself back in the field to help a special team find a cure before it's too late. Jerry recently quit his job in the force and decided to spend more time with his wife Karen and their two daughters, Connie and Rachel. One morning, on their way to school, they encounter a serious traffic jam. After staying in one spot for hours and noticing a ridiculous number of helicopters and security personnel passing by, Jerry decides to come out to take a look at what the cause might be. Suddenly, a large explosion occurs not far from where they are, and people start scampering in the opposite direction. In the commotion, bigger vehicles clear the path, and Jerry quickly follows to find a way out. As he speeds on, he gets distracted by his little girls, causing them to crash into other cars. Luckily, they're all unscathed, so they abandon the vehicle and continue to maneuver the stampede on foot. While running, they notice that some people are bitten by others and are immediately infected and transform into zombies. After a while, they find an abandoned RV, so they get in and successfully escape the zombies. Jerry calls for backup from one of his old buddies from the UN for airborne assistance before his wife informs him that their asthmatic daughter Rachel is having an episode. They left her inhaler in the car, and so they hurry down to a pharmacy to get the medication. On getting to the supermarket that evening, the looting has already begun, as people are grabbing supplies and food to prepare for what is to come. After getting what they need while overcoming the obstacles in their way, Jerry calls his guys again and asks to be picked up on the roof of a nearby building. Unfortunately, on their way to the roof, they're attacked by zombies, but are saved by a kind family resident in the building. Because of Jerry's experience in such situations, he suggests the family follow them to the roof, but the man insists on staying in the apartment at the behest of his wife and little son Tommy. So they say their goodbyes, and Jerry takes his family to the roof. Along the way, they're attacked by zombies, and Jerry fights them off with a gun he found in the RV. Just when they're so close to the roof, he's caught, and Karen has to take the girls to the chopper waiting for them. He's still trying his best not to get bitten and infected when Tommy comes to his aid. The two escape to the helicopter and fly off the building with the rescue team. Afterward, they are taken to the United Nations command ship on the Atlantic Ocean, where Jerry's old friend Thierry helps them settle in and informs him that the president is dead and that the virus has spread across the globe. He's introduced to a young scientist, Dr. Fossbach, who is their best shot at finding a cure. After a not-so-subtle persuasion, Jerry is forced to help the doctor on the mission so that his family can be safe and remain on the ship. Later, Jerry says his goodbyes and promises to come back before heading out on a mission to save the world. Later that night, they land in South Korea, where it is presumed that the first zombie attack was recorded. Immediately they get off the plane, they are attacked by many zombies, and in the process of trying to escape, Fossbach slips and accidentally shoots himself with a gun, leading to his death. The rest of the team proceed with the mission and are taken to the place where the first attack was. The room is filled with infected people who were burnt to prevent the spread. Jerry is introduced to a man who was arrested for the illegal sale of arms in the northern countries to help fight the spread. He informs him that the guns are a secondary measure compared to the actual precautions taken, which was the removal of the teeth of all the people in the country, adding that the man with the answers and who saw the invasion coming is in Jerusalem. Without wasting any time, Jerry and the team head back to the plane, but on their way out, his phone rings out and wakes the sleeping zombies that immediately attack them. Luckily, they make it back to the plane, but one of them is infected, so he sacrifices himself for the rest to escape. Soon, they arrive at the Atarot airport in Israel, where Jerry plans to meet with a man named Jurgen, who allegedly knows how to salvage the current dilemma. After a proper introduction, Jurgen tells Jerry that he knew the invasion was coming when he received a message from India reporting that they were fighting zombies. He claims that it was truly inevitable and afterward takes Jerry to a place called the Jerusalem Salvation Camp, where massive walls were built to keep the infected out. Jurgen prides himself on the structures and claims that it's a big step in checkmating the spread. Unfortunately, the pride is short-lived when the people inside are notified that the infected had breached the barrier. There had been a large celebration within the walls, which was so loud that it irritated the zombies outside and attracted them. The soldiers do everything they can to keep them out before there are too many of them. Eventually, they get in, and it's a frenzied attack as thousands of them ravage the people and infect them. However, Jerry notices that the zombies don't attack some people, and they seem to be blind to them. Jurgen instructs a team of soldiers to get Jerry and his men back to the airport safely, but unfortunately, the zombies get there first, and the pilot abandons them. Meanwhile, in the process of getting Jerry out, a female soldier named Sagan is bitten on her hand, so he immediately cuts it off, hoping it would keep her from transforming. Luckily, it appears to work, and the two find a way to get on another flight. On the plane, Jerry dresses her wound, and while speaking with her, he recalls something that Fossbach told him about nature, leaving clues for them. He suddenly has an idea and immediately requests to be taken to the nearest WHO research facility. Terry orders the pilots to do so, and they head to the closest one, which is in Cardiff, Wales. Everything seems to be going as planned, but suddenly, they discover that there is a zombie on board. Jerry and Sagan do their best to avoid getting infected in the plane that is now full of aggressive zombies, but when that becomes too difficult, they use Sagan's grenade to blow them up, causing the plane to crash. Miraculously, they survive, but Jerry is badly injured as part of the seatbelt broke off and impaled his torso. The plane crash landed just outside the city, so they make it barely to the research facility on foot before Jerry collapses. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Terry is tasked with the difficult job of informing Karen of the plane crash. What's worse is that, because Jerry is presumed dead and no longer useful to them, his family is taken off the ship to a refugee camp. Jerry wakes up 3 days later and finds himself tied to a bed, but also notices that his wounds were attended to. The head doctor inquires about his reason for coming, and he calls Terry, who reveals that he was presumed dead and his family has been sent off the ship. Regardless of the setback, Jerry proceeds to explain his reason for coming and suggests that the virus doesn't affect terminally ill people, and the theory could be used as camouflage by the soldiers to fight the zombies. The theory is quite ridiculous, but the doctors don't have a better idea, so they agree to test his theory. But there's just one problem, because the dangerous disease samples are on the B wing of the building, which is infected with doctors who were infected. They all take a big gamble by agreeing to risk their lives for a very uncertain solution. The head doctor volunteers to follow Jerry and Sagan into the B wing, but not before putting on some sort of protection on their arms and legs, for what it's worth. Quietly, they move in and gradually get close to where the samples are, but the doctor makes a loud noise by accident, which alerts the dormant zombies. Jerry then creates a distraction so that Sagan and the doctors can escape back. He fights off the ones he can and finally gets to the cold room where the samples are stored. After grabbing as many disease samples as he can carry, he realizes that he's trapped because a zombie is waiting for him in front of the glass door. He has no choice but to put his theory to the ultimate test by injecting himself of one of the diseases. The doctors and Sagan, who had been watching everything from the security cameras, are amazed to see Jerry walk past the infected like he's invisible to them. When he gets back to them, they administer the cure to him and use the samples to engineer some sort of vaccine that would make people somewhat invisible to the zombies because they wouldn't attack them. After a few weeks, the war against the zombies is waning stronger around the globe, and people are making much more progress than ever before with the camouflage that was provided to them. The World Health Organization distributes the vaccines all over the world for free to help curtail the spread. Later, Jerry is reunited with his family and Tommy, who are all safe. The war is far from over, but Jerry believes that mankind has bought itself some time to find a permanent solution and urges everyone to stay vigilant and be prepared for anything.